The old human ship drifted through the dark space near Kepler Junction. Her name was Steadfast, and she looked like she had seen better days. The metal hull was covered with patches and scars from old battles. Paint had worn off in many places, showing the bare metal underneath. Dents and scrapes marked every surface. Anyone looking at her would think she was ready for the scrapyard. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in her command chair on the bridge. She was 55 years old with gray hair and lines around her eyes. Those lines came from years of squinting at star charts and enemy ships. Her uniform was clean but old, like everything else on the ship. She watched the scanner screen with calm eyes. The bridge was small and cramped. The walls were lined with old equipment that hummed and beeped softly. Everything worked, but nothing looked new or fancy. The crew moved around their stations with easy practice. They had been together for many years. Chief Engineer Martinez stood near the back of the bridge. He was a big man with grease under his fingernails and a smile that never quite left his face. He knew every bolt and wire on the ship. Next to him, Weapons Officer Chen checked her controls for the third time in 10 minutes. She was young, but had steady hands and sharp eyes. The scanner made a soft beeping sound. Lieutenant Park at the sensor station looked up. "Captain, we have a ship approaching. Big one. Looks like a Zephrian cruiser." Captain Vasquez nodded. "Put it on screen." The main viewer lit up with the image of a massive warship. It was beautiful in a deadly way. The hull was smooth and white, with blue lights running along its sides. Weapon ports gleamed like jewels. Everything about it said power and technology. It was at least 3 times the size of the Steadfast. "Impressive," Martinez said quietly. "They sure like their ships pretty. Pretty ships make pretty targets." Chen replied without looking up from her weapons console. The communication system crackled to life. A deep voice filled the bridge. "Primitive human vessel. This is Commander Thexler of the Imperial Cruiser. Dominant Pride. You will prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Vasquez raised an eyebrow. She pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Vasquez of the Earth ship Steadfast. We are on a peaceful mission through neutral space. We request safe passage." Laughter came through the speakers. It was not friendly laughter. Safe passage? Look at your pathetic ship, human. You fly in a piece of junk that should have been scrapped decades ago. We will inspect your cargo and decide if you deserve to continue. More voices joined the laughter. The Zephrian bridge crew was clearly having fun. Captain Vasquez kept her face calm, but her crew exchanged looks. They had heard this kind of talk before. On the main screen, they could see the alien ship more clearly now. It was a thing of beauty and terror. Weapon systems covered its hull like scales on a snake. Shield generators glowed with blue energy. The ship looked like it could destroy a small planet, Captain Lieutenant Park said quietly. "I'm picking up multiple communication signals. They're broadcasting on open channels. Other ships are listening." Commander Thexler's voice came again, louder and more arrogant. "Attention all vessels in this sector. Come witness the encounter between superior Zephrian technology and primitive human scrap. You will see why the old races rule the galaxy, while newcomers like humans crawl through space in their rust buckets." More ships appeared on the scanner. They came to watch the show. Captain Vasquez could see them gathering at a safe distance. Word was spreading fast through subspace. The great Zephrian commander was going to teach the humans a lesson. "Look at that pathetic excuse for a warship." Commander Thexala continued his broadcast. "It's 40 years old if it's a day. Probably held together with wire and prayer. The humans think they can fly through our territory in this floating junk pile?" His crew laughed again. The sound echoed through the Steadfast's bridge. Captain Vasquez turned to look at her officers. Martinez was shaking his head with amusement. Chen was running system checks with a small smile on her face. Lieutenant Park was tracking all the ships that had come to watch. They seemed very confident. Captain Vasquez said calmly. "Youth often is," Martinez replied. "They've never seen what happens when someone pushes too hard." The Zephrian commander's voice grew more demanding. "Human captain, you will cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. We will search your ship from top to bottom. Any resistance will be met with force. Your primitive weapons are no match for our advanced systems. Captain Vasquez looked at the beautiful alien ship on her screen. She thought about all the battles the Steadfast had fought, all the enemies they had faced, all the times people had looked at their old ship and laughed. She thought about the scars on her hull and what each one meant. She pressed the communication button again. Commander Vexler, I repeat our request for safe passage. We have no hostile intent. We simply wish to continue our journey. Safe passage denied, the alien commander shouted. You will submit to our authority or face the consequences. Your rust bucket is no match for the pride of the Zephrian fleet. The watching ships moved closer. They wanted a good view of what would happen next. The galaxy loved to see the new species put in their place. Humans were still newcomers, and newcomers needed to learn respect. Captain Vasquez sat back in her chair. She looked at her crew one more time. They were ready. They had always been ready. The Steadfast might look old and worn, but she had survived things that would have destroyed prettier ships. Commander the Xolar, she said into the communicator, her voice steady and calm. We have places to be. Commander the Xolar stood on his bridge and stared at the human ship on his screen. The ugly old vessel just sat there in space like it owned the place. His anger grew with each passing second. How dare these newcomers refuse his commands? Did they not understand who they were dealing with? The Zephrian commander was young for his rank. His scales were bright blue and green, showing his noble birth. His uniform was perfect, with medals that caught the light from the bridge displays. He had never lost a battle, but then again, he had never fought a real one either.
Oh.
Most enemies surrendered when they saw his beautiful ship. Sir, his weapons officer said, the human ship is not moving. They ignore our commands. I can see. That the Xolar snapped. He turned to face his crew. They were all young and proud, just like him. They wore their uniforms with the same confidence. They believed in their ship and their technology. Why should they not? The dominant Pride was the newest ship in the fleet. Everything about it was perfect. Open a channel to all ships in the area, the Xolar ordered. Let everyone hear what happens to those who do not respect Zephrian authority. The communication officer nodded. Open, sir. Broadcasting on all frequencies, the Xolar smiled. This would be a good lesson for everyone watching. The galaxy needed to know that the old races still ruled space. These humans were new and weak. They needed to learn their place. Attention. All vessels, he spoke into the communicator. You are about to witness the power of Zephrian technology. This human ship dares to refuse our lawful commands. They fly through our territory in their ancient rust bucket, as if they belong here. He could see more ships gathering on his scanner. Word was spreading fast. Ships came from all directions to watch the show. Some were merchants, others were military vessels from different races. All of them wanted to see what would happen. On the human ship, Captain Vasquez watched the alien commander with calm eyes. She had seen his type before, young, proud, and dangerous because they had never learned caution. She turned to Martinez. Chief, how are our systems? Martinez grinned. Running like a dream, Captain. Old girl's ready for whatever comes. Chen looked up from her weapons console. All systems green, Captain. Should I start the warm-up sequence? Not yet, Vasquez said quietly. Let's see how far they want to push this. Lieutenant Park was tracking all the ships that had come to watch. Captain, we have 12 vessels in scanning range now. More coming. All the time. Vasquez nodded. She understood what was happening. The young alien commander was putting on a show. He wanted to prove his power in front of an audience. It made him more dangerous, but also more predictable. Commander the Xolar continued his broadcast. Look at this pathetic human vessel. Years old, maybe more. Patches, covering patches. It probably breaks down twice a week, and yet they think they can challenge the might of the Zephrian Empire. His crew laughed. The sound carried across the communication channels to all the watching ships. Some of the other vessels sent their own messages of support. Everyone enjoyed seeing the newcomers put in their place. Humans are a young race, the Xolar went on. They have been in space for less than a century. They know nothing of war, nothing of power. Their ships are built by amateurs who copy the designs of their betters. He was getting excited now. The watching ships were encouraging him. Messages of support came from across the sector. Everyone wanted to see the human ship humbled. Their weapons are primitive projectile systems, he announced. Crude metal slugs fired by chemical explosives. They have no understanding of energy weapons or quantum shields. They are children playing with toys. On the Steadfast, Chen smiled at that comment. Chemical explosives, she said quietly. If only he knew. Martinez chuckled. Should we tell him about the magnetic acceleration system? Or the fusion warheads? Him keep talking, Captain Vasquez said. Knowledge is power. The less he knows, the better for us. The alien commander was really warming up now. Their shields are probably simple energy barriers. Their armor is basic metal plating. One shot. From our plasma cannons, we'll cut through their hull like paper. More ships arrived to watch. Aye! The crowd was growing. Thexelar felt the excitement building. This would be remembered across the galaxy. The day the Zephrians showed the humans their place. I will give you one final chance, human captain. He broadcast directly to the Steadfast. Surrender now, and submit to boarding. Your ship will be impounded, and your crew questioned. Refuse, and I will demonstrate why the Zephrian Empire rules this sector of space. Captain Vasquez looked at her crew one more time. They were ready. Chen had her hand on the weapons controls. Martinez was monitoring the power systems. Park was tracking every ship in the area. They had done this dance before. She pressed the communication button. Her voice was calm and steady. Commander Thexelar, I have already given you our answer. We are on a peaceful mission through neutral space. We request safe passage to continue our journey. Peaceful? Thexelar laughed. There is no peace for those who defy Zephrian authority. You will learn that your primitive ship is no match for superior technology. He turned to his weapons officer. Charge all plasma batteries. Arm quantum torpedoes. Prepare to show these humans what real firepower looks like. The dominant pride began to glow as its weapon systems came online. Blue energy ran along its hull like lightning. The ship was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Every alien who saw it felt pride or fear, depending on which side they were on. All ships stand witness, Thexelar announced. The Zephrian Empire does not tolerate disrespect. This human rust bucket will burn, and its crew will beg for mercy. Captain Vasquez heard every word. She had heard threats like this before, from enemies far more dangerous than this young alien commander. She looked at the beautiful ship on her screen and thought about all the beautiful ships the Steadfast had faced over the years. Chen, she said quietly, bring our systems online, slowly and quietly. Yes, Captain Chen replied. Her fingers moved over her controls with practiced skill. Martinez, how's our power? Plenty to spare, Captain. Reactors are purring like kittens. Vasquez smiled slightly. The alien commander thought he was about to teach the humans a lesson. He had no idea that he was about to get one himself. Commander the Exceler raised his hand high in the air. The bridge of the dominant pride was silent except for the hum of charging weapons. Every eye was on their young commander. He was about to show the galaxy the power of Zephrian technology. Fire! Warning shots, he commanded. Let them see what they face. A bright blue plasma bolt shot out from the alien ship. They passed close to the Steadfast, lighting up space around the old human vessel. The bolts were beautiful and deadly, leaving glowing trails in the darkness. Any normal ship would have been badly damaged just from being near them. The human ship did not move, sat in space like nothing had happened. Thexelar frowned. He had expected the humans to panic or beg for mercy. Instead, their ship just floated there as calm as before. On his screen, he could see the human bridge. The crew was working at their stations like this was just another day. Perhaps they did not understand, his weapons officer suggested. Humans are primitive. They may not recognize superior firepower when they see it. Then we will make it clear, Thexelar said. His anger was growing. How dare they ignore his warning? Target their engine section. 50% power. We will disable them and drag them home. The dominant pride's main guns swiveled toward the human ship. Energy built up in the weapon chambers until they glowed white-hot. The alien crew watched, their displays with excitement. This would be easy, Fire Thexler ordered. 3 massive plasma bolts lanced out toward the Steadfast. They hit the old ship dead center, exactly where the Excelor had aimed them. Brilliant light-filled space as the weapon struck home. The watching ships saw the explosion and waited for the human vessel to break apart. But when the light faded, the Steadfast was still there. Her shields had absorbed the entire attack. They glowed softly around the ship like a second skin, completely undamaged. Dexler stared at his screen. That was impossible. His weapons should have cut through any primitive human shields like they were made of paper. He turned to his weapons officer. "Sensors show no damage, sir," the officer reported. His voice was confused. "Their shields held completely." "Impossible," Dexler snapped. "Increase power to 75%. Fire again. It's time 6. Plasma bolts hit the human ship. Explosion was even brighter, lighting up every vessel in the area. Surely no ship could survive that much firepower. The aliens waited for debris and escape pods. The Steadfast emerged from the blast completely untouched. Her shields had not even flickered. On the human bridge, Captain Vasquez watched the alien. Weapons hit her ship. The lights dimmed slightly as the shields absorbed the energy, then returned to normal. She looked at Martinez. "How are we doing, Chief?" "Shields at 98%, Captain," Martinez replied with a grin. "These kids hit about as hard as a light rain." Chen looked up from her weapons console. "Captain, they're plasma weapons. Are designed to fight other energy-based systems. Our gravitational shields work on completely different principles. They might as well be throwing rocks at us." Vasquez nodded. The Steadfast had been built during humanity's darkest war, when survival meant everything. Every system on the ship had been designed by people who knew that losing meant extinction. The aliens had no idea what they were really facing. "Chen, bring our engines online. Full power." "Yes, Captain." The old human ship suddenly moved. She accelerated faster than any ship her size should have been able to move. The aliens watched in shock as the rust bucket they had been mocking shot forward like a bullet. "How are they moving so fast?" Exceler demanded. "Their engines should be primitive fusion drives." The science officer checked his readings twice. Before answering, "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their engine section. But the design doesn't match anything in our databases." The Steadfast moved with impossible grace for such an old ship. She turned and twisted through space like a fighter instead of a heavy cruiser. The watching vessels could hardly believe what they were seeing. "Sir," the weapons officer said nervously. "They're targeting us." Vexillar looked at his screen. The human ship had turned toward them and was accelerating fast. He could see weapon ports opening along her hull. They looked different from any weapons he had seen before. Instead of the smooth energy weapon ports of civilized ships, these were rough holes that looked almost primitive. "Their weapons are coming online," his tactical officer reported. "But sir, they're not energy weapons. They appear to be some kind of projectile system." Dexelar laughed. His fear was replaced by amusement. "Projectile weapons? Against our shields? They might as well throw stones at us." He opened a channel to the human ship. "Foolish humans, your primitive guns cannot harm us. We have quantum shields that can stop any physical projectile. Surrender now before you embarrass yourselves further." Captain Vasquez pressed her communication button. Her voice was calm as always. "Chen, show them what obsolete means." The human ship's guns fired, but these were not the simple projectile weapons the aliens expected. These were magnetic railguns that accelerated metal slugs to a significant fraction of light speed. The projectiles hit the alien ship's shields and passed right through them like they were not there. The dominant pride shook as the metal slugs tore into her hull. Sparks flew across the alien bridge as systems overloaded. Alarm sirens began to wail. "Impossible," Vexelar shouted. "Nothing can penetrate our shields." His science officer was frantically checking his instruments. "Sir, their projectiles are moving too fast for our shields to stop." The quantum field can't form fast enough to block them. More railgun shots hit the alien ship. Each one punched clean holes through the beautiful hull. The Zephrians had built their ship to fight other energy weapon users they had never faced. Kinetic weapons fired at such incredible speeds. "Return fire," Vexillar ordered. "All weapons." The dominant Pride unleashed everything she had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and quantum torpedoes all struck the human ship at once. The explosion was so bright it hurt to look at. When the light faded, the Steadfast was still there. Her shields had absorbed the entire attack and were already back to full strength. "Her shields are adapting," the alien tactical officer reported in a shaking voice. "Each attack makes them stronger." The Xalars stared at the human ship in growing horror. This was not supposed to happen. The humans were supposed to be weak and primitive. Their ship was supposed to be easy prey. Instead, his beautiful cruiser was being torn apart by weapons he didn't understand. Captain Vasquez opened a channel. "Commander, this is your final warning. Stand down your weapons and withdraw." "Never," Vexazar screamed. "We are Zephrians. We do not surrender to primitives." Captain Vasquez looked at her crew. It tried to avoid this fight. Now they would finish it. "Chen," she said quietly, "disable their engines." Chen's fingers moved across her weapons console with deadly precision. She had been waiting for this moment since the alien commander started his threats. The targeting computer locked onto the dominant Pride's engine section. Was beautiful, but beauty meant nothing when you were fighting for your life. "Firing," Chen said calmly. 4 railgun shots streaked across space. They hit the alien ship's engines with perfect accuracy. Metal and sparks flew from the impact points. The beautiful blue glow of the Zephrian engines flickered and died. The dominant Pride went dark except for emergency lighting. Commander Vexillar was thrown from his command chair as his ship shuddered. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the bridge. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. His beautiful, perfect ship was dying around him. "Engine room report," he shouted. "Sir, main engines are destroyed," came the panicked reply. "We have no power to the drive systems. We're dead in space." Vexillar stared at the human ship on his screen. The old rust bucket had not moved. She just sat there in space like a patient predator. He could not understand how this was happening. His ship was new and advanced. The humans were supposed to be primitive. "Weapons, fire everything we have left," he ordered desperately. "Sir, most of our weapons are offline. The humans hit our power distribution system, then use what we have." The remaining weapons on the dominant Pride fired at the human ship. Plasma bolts and particle beams struck the Steadfast shields. But now the alien crew could see something that filled them with terror. The human shields were learning. Each attack made them stronger and more efficient. Captain Vasquez watched. The alien weapons bounce harmlessly off her ship. She turned to Martinez. "Chief, show them our point defense system." Martinez grinned. "With pleasure, Captain." The Steadfast suddenly came alive with defensive fire. Small turrets emerged from hidden ports all along her hull. They moved with impossible speed and accuracy. When the aliens fired their next volley of missiles, the human point defense system turned every single one into scrap metal before they could reach their target. The watching ships saw it all. They had come to see the humans humbled, but instead they were witnessing something that would give them nightmares. The old human ship was not just defeating the aliens, she was doing it with casual ease. "Sir," the alien tactical officer whispered. "Their defensive systems are beyond anything in our databases. They're tracking and destroying targets faster than our computers can count them." Vexillar felt fear creeping into his heart. This was not supposed to happen. Zephrians were the superior race. Their technology was the most advanced in the galaxy. How could these newcomers be so much better? Captain Vasquez opened a communication channel. Her voice was calm and professional. "Commander Vexillar, you are now disabled and defenseless. Do you wish to surrender?" "Never." The Xalar screamed, but his voice cracked with fear. "We are Zephrians. We do not surrender to inferior species." "As you wish," Vasquez replied. She turned to Chen. "Target their weapon systems, one at a time. Let them watch." What followed was a perfect demonstration of surgical warfare. Steadfast guns fired with impossible accuracy. Each shot destroyed exactly one weapon system on the alien ship. The humans were not trying to kill the aliens. They were teaching them a lesson. One by one, the dominant pride's weapons died. Plasma cannons, particle beam arrays, missile launchers, all of them turned into twisted metal under the precise fire of the human guns. The alien crew could only watch in horror as their ship was systematically dismantled. "They're not even trying to destroy us," the alien weapons officer said in a shaking voice. "They could kill us all, but they're just ... playing with us." Dexler realized the horrible truth. The humans were holding back. They could have destroyed his ship in the first few seconds of the fight. Instead, they were showing him exactly how outmatched he was. Every shot was a message. Every destroyed system was a lesson. The watching ships began to move away. Some of them were already jumping to hyperspace. Word would spread across the galaxy within hours. Everyone would know. What happened here? The proud Zephrian Empire had been humbled by an old human ship. "Sir," his communication officer said quietly, "we're receiving surrender requests from our own fleet vessels in the area. They want permission to withdraw." The XLR looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was wounded. His beautiful ship was a floating wreck. The humans had done all this without even trying hard. He thought about all his boasts and threats. Thought about how he had called them primitive and weak. Captain Martinez said on the human bridge, "Their life support is failing. Should we offer assistance?" Captain Vasquez considered this. She could let the aliens die. They had started this fight. They had threatened her ship and crew. But that was not the human way. Humans fought to protect, not to destroy. "Open a channel to their ship," she ordered. "Commander Thexelar," she said when the connection was made, "we detect that your life support systems are failing. We can provide emergency power to keep your crew alive." The alien commander stared at her image on his screen. She was offering to help him after he had tried to destroy her ship. He did not understand this strange human concept of mercy. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you help us?" "Because we're not monsters," Vasquez replied simply. "We fight when we have to, but we don't kill when we don't have to." A beam of energy reached out from the Steadfast to the alien ship. It connected to the dominant pride's power grid and began feeding electricity into the failing systems. The emergency lights stopped flashing. The air circulation systems came back online. Ayler felt tears on his face. These humans, who he had called primitive and weak, were saving his life and the lives of his crew. They had defeated him completely, and now they were showing him kindness. "I don't understand," he said. "We attacked you. We tried to destroy you. Why do you help us?" Captain Vasquez looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Commander, you attacked us because you thought we were weak. You learned that we are not. Oh, you're learning something else about humans. We believe that strength should be used to protect, not to destroy." She paused and looked around his ruined bridge. "Your ship will be repaired enough to reach port. Your crew will survive. But you need to understand something. The Steadfast is 40 years old. She's not even one of our newer ships. She's what we call obsolete." Thexelar felt his blood turn cold. If this was an obsolete human ship, what were their new ones like? "Tell your empire what you learned here today," Vasquez continued. "Humans don't start fights, but we finish them. We don't look for trouble, but we're ready when trouble finds us." The communication ended. Dexelar sat in his command chair and stared at the human ship. She looked the same as before. It's old, worn, patched, and scarred. But now he knew the truth. Those scars were not signs of weakness. They were proof of survival. Each patch told a story of a battle won. Each dent was a lesson learned. The Steadfast had not just defeated him, she had educated him. And the lesson was one he would never forget. Captain Vasquez stood up from her command chair and walked to the main screen. The alien ship hung in space before them, broken and powerless. Emergency lights flickered along its hull. She could have destroyed it completely. One more shot from Chen's guns would have ended everything. But that was not why humans fought. She pressed the communication button. Commander Thexler, this is Captain Vasquez. Can you hear me? The alien commander's face appeared on screen. His proud scales had lost their bright color. His perfect uniform was torn and dirty. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead, but his eyes were the most changed thing about him. The arrogance was gone. In its place was something new. Understanding, perhaps? Or maybe just fear. I hear you, Captain, he said quietly. Good. I want to make sure you understand what happened here today. Not just for you, but for everyone who's watching. Vasquez knew that ships were still gathered. Around them, some had moved away, but others remained. They were recording everything. This conversation would be played across the galaxy within hours. She wanted to make sure the message was clear. You attacked my ship because you thought we were weak, she continued. You saw our old hull and our patched armor and you decided we were easy prey. You made the same mistake that many others have made. Vexillar said nothing. He just listened. Steadfast is 40 years old, Commander. She was built during the Hegemony War, when humanity faced extinction. You know what that means? No, Vexillar whispered. It means she was built by people who knew that failure meant death. Not just their own death, but the death of every human in the galaxy. Every system on this ship was designed by survivors. Every weapon was tested in battles where losing was not an option. Captain Vasquez walked closer to the screen. Her weathered face filled the view. You see scars and patches on our hull. We see lessons learned and battles won. Every mark on this ship tells a story of something that tried to kill us and failed. Martinez stepped up beside his captain. The fusion reactors that power our shields. We learned to build those after enemy plasma weapons burned through 6 different types of armor. The railguns that destroyed your weapons? You developed those because energy weapons were not reliable enough when your life depended on them? Chen joined them at the screen. Our point defense system can track and destroy 1,000 targets at once because we fought enemies who fired 10,000 missiles at a time. Our shields adapt because we faced weapons that changed with every shot. Lieutenant Park looked up from his station. Our engines can outrun anything because running away was often the only way to live long enough to fight another day. Captain Vasquez nodded. Every human ship is built with one purpose, Commander, to bring our people home alive. We don't build ships to look impressive or to show off our wealth. We build them to survive. She paused and looked directly into the alien commander's eyes. The Steadfast has fought in 37 major battles. She has been boarded 6 times, rammed twice, and hit by weapons that don't exist anymore because we destroyed the species that made them. She has been to places where the stars themselves were weapons and back again. Dexalor felt a chill run down his spine. He was beginning to understand what he had really faced today. This was not just an old ship. This was a veteran of wars. He could not imagine. How many ships has she destroyed? He asked quietly. We don't keep count, Vasquez replied. We fight to protect, not to conquer. But if you're asking how many enemies thought they could defeat her because she looked old and weak, well, you're still alive to tell that story. Most of them are not. The captain turned to address all the watching ships. Let me be clear to everyone listening. Humanity does not seek conflict. We prefer to trade and explore in peace. But we learned long ago that the galaxy is a dangerous place. We prepare for that danger, she gestured toward her ship. The Steadfast is what we call obsolete. We have newer ships now with better weapons and stronger shields. But even our oldest vessels are crewed by people who understand what war really means. Martinez spoke up again. Every human ship captain has fought in real battles. Every engineer has kept engines running while under fire. Every weapons officer has had to make shots that decided whether their friends lived or died. Don't train in simulations, Chen added. We learn from veterans who survived impossible odds. Every technique we use was paid for with blood and tested in actual combat. Captain Vasquez looked back at Commander Thexler. Your ship is beautiful, Commander. Yes. Your technology is impressive. Your crew is well trained. But you made one critical mistake. What mistake? Thexler asked. You thought that looking dangerous was the same as being dangerous. You thought that new was better than experienced. You thought that pretty was stronger than proven. She walked back to her command chair. The Steadfast doesn't look dangerous, because she doesn't need to. Anyone with sense takes one look at our battle scars and keeps their distance. Only fools attack ships that are obviously veterans of real wars. Vexillar felt the weight of those words. He had been such a fool. He had seen the scars and patches as weakness when they were actually warnings. It attacked a veteran warship with an untested cruiser crewed by inexperienced officers. What happens now? He asked. Now you go home, Vasquez said simply. It's repair your ship, and you tell your people what you learned. You tell them that humans are not easy prey. You tell them that our old ships are old because they're too tough to kill. She pressed some buttons on her chair. We're sending you enough power to get your engines working again. It won't be fast, but it will get you to the nearest port. Your crew will survive. Why? Vexillar asked. Why do you help us after what we did? Captain Vasquez smiled slightly. Because that's what humans do, Commander. We fight when we have to, but we'd rather make friends than enemies. Maybe next time we meet, you'll remember that. The power beam from the Steadfast reached out to the alien ship. Slowly, the Dominant Pride's engines began to glow again. It would be a long, slow journey home, but they would make it, Commander Vasquez said as she prepared to end the communication. One more thing. Tell your Empire that the Steadfast sends her regards. And tell them that if they want to test human resolve again, they should bring more ships. A lot more ships. The communication ended. The Steadfast turned away from the broken alien vessel and began to move toward the hyperspace jump point. She looked the same as when she had arrived. Old, scarred, and patched. But now everyone knew what those scars really meant. As the human ship prepared to jump to hyperspace, Captain Vasquez made one final announcement on open channels. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth ship Steadfast. To all vessels in this sector, we wish you safe travels and peaceful journeys. Stars are big enough for all of us. The old ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind a broken alien cruiser and a lesson that would be remembered across the galaxy. Humans might look like easy targets, but appearances could be very deceiving indeed. Commander Vexilla sat in his ruined bridge and watched the stars. He had a long journey ahead of him and a difficult report to write. But he was alive, and that was more than he had deserved. The humans had taught him that mercy was a strength, not a weakness. He would remember that lesson for the rest of his life.